Hey, all just hey, looks like we're getting this up and running here. Um, yeah, looks like it's going. All right. Hey, just want to welcome you in really quickly to episode 3.5. Not quite episode 4 because it's not a different topic at this point, but I mean it kind of is. But what I wanted to touch base on really quickly is the roster cuts that we are noticing right now through the Lions camp. So I will have to come back and do a couple other follow-up videos later on regarding the NFL and kind of what, who's been cut and who might be on the Lions radar. As you know, or may not know, I'm not sure, but the Lions pick are third in the waiver wire rankings right now. So that would, and it basically goes on the 2020 draft order. So if the Bengals and the Washington football team pass on somebody, the Lions are next in line. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's been 15 minutes past the deadline. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they handle their waiver wire pickups. Now, as I understand it, they are at 53-man roster. However, two of them could potentially land on IR and return after, I think it's 3 to 4 weeks. Don't quote me on that. These are the new updated, via the COVID stuff, things like that. But those that could potentially, and I could be wrong, hit me up in the comments if you're not live. But hit me up in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong. But I heard that Isaac Nada has been cut. But Hunter Bryant did make the team, which is excellent. He's an excellent slot type, big receiver. Could potentially sneak in there as the third tight end on 3 tight end sets. Going to have to between Hawkinson and Jesse James, and now Hunter Bryant being the only other tight end, as Matt Sokol was also let go this afternoon. So, but what I'm hearing or reading from Eric Schlitt on Twitter, if you don't follow Eric, you need to follow him. He is fantastic and up to date on quite a bit. And he interacts with his Twitter followers quite often. So, and I can attest to that. So, but anyways, Eric had mentioned that it could be a potential that if Hunter Bryant does end up on the short-term IR, got to switch gears here. I've got my tight ends messed up. Isaac Nada could be placed on the IR. He could be on the active roster if he clears waivers, put on the active roster, and then go directly onto IR, and he could be the 3-week there, allowing another roster spot to open up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think I kind of butchered that a little bit, but we'll go with it for right now. But basically what I've got is here's a tweet from Pride of Detroit. If you don't follow them, follow them. I said, worth noting, players can return from IR just after 3 weeks this year, as long as they are placed on IR after the 53-man roster is initially set. So Michael Rothstein also tweets, he says, it's interesting. So that this is in relation to Isaac Nada being cut, 2019 7th round pick. He says, it's interesting. So that would leave the Lions tight ends for now at Hawkinson, James, and Hunter Bryant, who is injured. Now, it's possible if Nada and or Sokol, because it could be Sokol too, he has had a heck of a camp. If they clear waivers, they could end up on the practice squad and promoted pretty quickly if Bryant were to end up on IR. So, sorry, I was saying that Nada might have been on IR. He is not going to IR, but Bryant could be with his potential camp injury that he had. So, without further ado, let me get to Eric's tweets. Eric has a lot of good. He's got I bookmarked one on Twitter here. Bear with me 1 second. Being live is a little bit difficult. All right. So Eric says, let me go to his bookmark here. As of 23 minutes ago, he still had it down to 65 players. So I can try to jump on this again and see, who has been cut from the 65. So we still have 8 players on there. Right now, he's showing quarterbacks would be Matthew Stafford and Chase Daniel. David Blau has been cut, and that was broken by Tom Pellisario. Running backs are at Kerryon Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Ty Johnson, Bo Scarborough, and Jason Kabinda as your fullback linebacker. Jason Huntley was cut. That was broken by Mike Rothstein, and also on the Lions Wire story with Eric as well. And Jonathan Williams, per Ian Rappaport, was also cut. Now he's an interesting case because he started off hot, backed off quite a bit. So that was, it made sense that he was probably going to get cut, but he could be potential practice squad holdover. And as we knew, Nick Bawden was placed on injured reserve, which broke the way for Cabinda. Sitting at wide receiver right now, we're sitting at 6. Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, Marvin Hall, Jamal Agnew, and Quintez Cephas. Tom Kennedy and Victor Bolden were released per Mike Rothstein, and then we already knew that Chris Lacey was also cut. Tight ends, as I mentioned, P.J. Hawkinson, Jesse James, and Hunter Bryant. Tom Pellisario says that Isaac Nada was cut, and per Michael Rothstein out of ESPN, Matt Sokol was also. But keep an eye on those two. Those two, if they clear waivers, I think one of those gentlemen will be back on the team. Offensive line, we're sitting at 12. This was as of 23 minutes ago. Taylor Decker, Joe Dahl, Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, and Hal Vaitai. I think those are your starters. You've got your swing tackle and Tyrell Crosby. He's going to play a lot in like goal line packages. I could pretty much bank on that. He did quite a bit last year. Logan Stenberg, obviously, being the 5th round pick. Ode Abushi is safe. Ben Showell is still there. Kenny Wiggins, Dan Skipper, and Matt Nelson. So it doesn't look like they have cut any offensive linemen at this time, showing on the Lions Wire website. But I can follow up with those in the next few minutes to verify this. We are also seeing defensive linemen. We're showing Kevin Strong per Justin Rogers and Frank Heron per Dave Burkett. They've been cut. Albert Huggins per Mike Rothstein, and Jashawn Cornell. Obviously, we knew this. He was the 7th round rookie out of Ohio State University. He's placed on IR. So that being said, Deshaun Hand, Danny Shelton, Nick Williams, John Pennicini will be your interior defensive linemen. Kevin Wilkins is still safe, and Olive Sagapalu is still there as well. Again, this was as of a few minutes before 4 o'clock. Edge players, Trey Flowers, Romeo Aquara, Julian Aquara, Austin Bryant. He was another one of those, along with Hunter Bryant. Both Bryant boys here could be on IR and then brought back in 3 to 4 weeks. Or they could do the normal IR rule where one of them placed on there would be permanent IR move, and then the other one will be return after 8 weeks. But I believe with the COVID rules, it's 3 weeks. It could be 4. And then Will Clark is on there as well. He was a late addition in camp. Linebackers, Jamie Collins, Jared Davis, Jelani Tavai, Christian Jones, Reggie Ragland, Jalen Reeves-Maben, and Elijah Lee. Per Michael Rothstein, Anthony Pittman had been cut. Cornerbacks sitting at 7, Des Trufant, Justin Coleman, Jeff Okuda, Amani Aruarie, Tony McRae. Darryl Roberts, I think, could be also a dark horse. He did fairly well in New York last year. And then again, Mike Ford. So diversion per Michael Rothstein, has been cut. Safety sitting at Tracy Walker, Duron Harmon, Will Harris, Duron Curse. Again, remember, he's got a 3-game, I think, suspension coming up. CJ Moore, Miles Killebrew, and Jalen Elliott is a surprise make so far. Bobby Price was cut per Dave Burkett. And then obviously the staple 2, Matt Prater and Don Muehlbach. Mule made it out. He beat out Steve Wordle. And interestingly enough, Steve Wordle was an excellent long snapper. He was actually doing much better than Don, but death, taxes, and Don Muehlbach. So that's where we're at right now. Let me try to update something here. I don't want to keep this too much longer, but let's see. Okay, let's go back to Eric Schlitt. All right, Eric doesn't have any more updates as of right now. Check back with Eric. He's got a pretty good write-up already started with these guys, and go ahead and bookmark him with any tweets that you may need to. He's brilliant there. Justin Rogers is another good one. Kyle Meinke, those guys are as well. So let's see here. a lot of it has to do with what I'm seeing on Twitter is the COVID season is what they're calling it. They're terming it the COVID season, and basically how they're going to work out with the practice squad additions. You know, you got the additional practice squad. You can have vets go on a practice squad. There was one that I had seen that Theo Riddick was cut by the Raiders. Las Vegas cut him, but they are putting him on his practice squad if they can get him to pass waivers. So it's interesting to see that Theo, which he's going on year 7, I think, 8, going to a practice squad. Let's see here. So, I mean, the surprising cut that I'm seeing here is Huntley. I think being that he was, one of the first 5th-round picks. Actually, I think he was after Stenberg. So both Stenberg and Huntley were in the 5th round. I think I saw somewhere on Twitter. I apologize if I can't give you a shout out here, but they were surprised that Huntley was cut because, or when he was taken in the draft, is because Bradley Anae was still sitting there. Now, is Bradley kind of one of those players that we could have used opposite of Julian Okwara because we got him in the 3rd? You could have had 2 Jack type linebackers. I don't know. At that time, you had Reggie Ragland, you had Elijah Lee, you had Jamie Collins, you had, you name it. We had players. Even Romeo can stand up and play that Jack linebacker. So, it's one of those things to where, do you double dip? I was probably screaming for an A. I couldn't tell you otherwise. But, so you got to look at these things. I thought Huntley was actually having a good camp from what I had read. So that's kind of surprising. But if he clears waivers, he can jump on the practice squad as well. So that means Ty Johnson is looking safe. He obviously has had a really good camp. So we'll go from there. But at any rate, what I want to do is follow up one more time here. I'm going to refresh my Twitter feed. And I'm showing Jack Fox as the punter. So he was one that I thought was probably going to win this. This was broken by Dave Burkett and Kyle Meineke. I got both of them on there. I'll give them shout outs. Let's see. So I think that's about it that I've got, guys. Anyways, like and subscribe to these videos if you'd like to see more. If you're interested, I'd like to do a couple of these. I'm going to call them like shotgun live streams, maybe something like that. And we can just do some quick fire. So, but in order for me to do these live streams, I need to get some subscribers. So please like and subscribe to this page if you enjoy what I'm doing, or if you just need me to shut up and want to ask for some specific topics, I'd love to talk about them too. But at any rate, you guys stay classy. You guys stay safe out there. Mask up when you need to. I know you're tired of hearing it. Detroit versus everybody. Even though I'm not Detroit, I'm a long distance native up here in Big Rapids, Michigan. Look it up. It's a beautiful town. Stay safe. Going back to school. Stay safe doing sports. Just stay safe and healthy. God bless and take care.